I need to bring up a topic here that a lot of people don't even talk about, a lot of people don't know. In today's video, I'm going to take you to explore this small but great country that has only 3 million inhabitants and is practically the size of the state of Alagoas. The country has its own alphabet, which I don't understand at all. Take a look at these letters. But the good thing is they have an amazing cuisine. It's one of the best I've ever tasted. Welcome to Yerevan, the capital of Armenia, in the heart of the Caucasus, Asia and Europe. In today's video, I'm going to show you everything about this country, what's in this capital, what they eat, and what life is like in the first country on the planet. And of course, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything and can discover this whole world with me. And my first stop in Yerevan is, of course, the Cascade Complex, which has become an iconic landmark of the city since it was completed. The project actually started in 1920, but it was only truly completed after the end of the Soviet Union and is considered one of the main meeting points for Armenians here in the capital. If you want to go up, there are 572 steps that lead to Victory Park, a park that is 118 meters high. Let's go up and see what the view is like from up there. Look, as you go up, you notice that there are several plateaus, each with an attraction, a sculpture in the middle, more fountains. This work here is really beautiful. It's a true work of art. Halfway up, I stopped here to look back. Guys, look at this view. It's perfect. What a perfect view of the city. So come here and start your day in Yerevan at this spot. Guys, I thought it was ending. No, there's just a roadblock here. To get there, you need to go this way. Guys, you can get a sense of the city here. Look, we're in the heart of old downtown. The downtown is this core here. See, it's really round. I'll even put up a map for you to see. Look, this map here that you see? This is the downtown. It's really small here in Yerevan. So it's a city that you can really get to know well in 2 days. In 1 day, you can see the whole historic center. But take the chance to do some things that are really accessible here, like the opera. Beautiful opera. Amazing, cheap, and unique here. Look over there. See the sign? We're under construction to serve you better. Estevan Pelo Mundo, there's no sign. I made it up. Just look at how things are here, okay? It's tough. Up to here, it was a staircase, a flawless waterfall. But look back here. A different perspective. Wasn't this supposed to be finished after the Soviet Union ended? They claim it's done, but clearly, work continues. And over there is supposed to be a lookout celebrating the 50th anniversary of the October Revolution. So let's enjoy this nice weather, try some Armenian wine and some local food. So I'm going to take you to a restaurant with homemade Armenian food, that kind of comfort food, that delicious grandma's cooking. We're going to try it because the cuisine here is one of the most famous in the Caucasus. The whole Caucasus, which is this region here, especially the places we've been to, right? Here it's Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Armenia. These are places where you're going to eat really well. Get ready because the food is really good and the prices are like very cheap. Saying very cheap might be an exaggeration, but it's cheap. Honestly, I think it's even cheaper than Thailand. Thailand, for example, cheap. And here, look, several Botero sculptures in the square, lots and lots of art, nature, and a lot of greenery. This region here in Yerevan is really surprisingly beautiful. Look, the cascades are over there. The restaurant is right here. Over there is the opera house where we'll see a beautiful opera. I already got tickets. Get ready. The restaurant serves authentic Armenian food. That's cool. Zan. That's beautiful. A little bit of the menu for you. Let's start with the drinks, with the wines. Look, there's the local wine, the house wine. It starts at 1,800 bucks, which I think is about 30 reais Marcelo. Put it on the screen so people know. And of course you can order a bottle, there's whiskey, there's vodka, but the focus here is the food. I love the fact that they have a picture of everything. Everything on the menu has a picture. Look, so there's the salad section. I ordered this as a starter. This is very common in the Caucasus, this mushroom, right? This stuffed mushroom, delicious. Here we have local cuisine. I'm going to order this one. Look, atsaki hagane, which is chicken with their sauce. This matsum, it's a yogurt. Cool, nice, look, very good. She's playing a traditional instrument over there. Look, I'll find out the name and let you know. But look, the average price of the food here. Oh guys, it's raining, right? I'll do the food bill because I have to go inside. There's no way to stay out here with this rain. The stuffed mushroom, let's find it here. It was around here. My god, I have to go. 30 reais for the mushroom and the wine. Marcelo put it on the screen for you. Okay, guys? 26 Rees. Bye. I have to go inside. I'm in. And I'll take the opportunity to show you how beautiful it is here. Look, lots of wine. Look. If it weren't raining, I wouldn't even come in to find out. There's a whole world in here. Here's another little area. I liked it. I liked the tip. The tip from the internet. Okay, stop. That's enough. Girls, stop, damn it. They put me here in this little corner. It started to rain. I knew there was more space. It was bigger than I thought. The mushrooms arrived and I got excited since I was going to be a player, right? I used to eat a lot in Georgia. This is truly a trophy. This chicken and rice dish here. A tour group of criminals is doing this with you. She's offering 100 euros to whoever gets the answers right. I already want to join. It's like watching $1 million show and wanting to guess even if I'm not playing. I'll try it. And the wine is perfect. Wow, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Please give us one without being stingy. They put things like raisins and plums. They love plum, which is really good, really good. The cuisine in Armenia is very diverse, very abundant. They have a very famous bread called lavash, which you have to try if you like bread. You have to try it. It's a very traditional bread for them. It's a thin, soft bread like a sheet baked in a clay oven called a toner. Today, UNESCO recognizes this bread as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Another typical food is horovats. Look, I'll put a little picture here for you to see. It's an Armenian barbecue made with grilled meat. They have pork, lamb, and chicken. It's often served at parties and weddings. It's often served with lavash and also with grilled vegetables. And if you thought they don't have pastries here, they actually do. There's a pastry called manti, which is the Armenian dumpling. Look, this little dumpling here. It's made from traditional Armenian cheeses. Titiu, which is braided and salty, and chanak, which is fresh and mild. It's also often eaten with fresh herbs and with lavash, which is that bread I mentioned to you. Now, one of my favorites that you have to try is dolma. Dolma is that grape leaf roll, have you seen it? Wrapped in grape leaves with meat inside. We have it in Brazil, right? It's at Habib's, it's at Omanara, it's there. Here though, it's different, here it's special. Oh, there's also harissa, which is a creamy dish made with chicken and wheat that cooks for hours. And this dish became very famous during the Armenian Genocide because it really shows the resilience of the people. There's also kash, a traditional soup made with cow's feet, and Armenian pilaf. Pilaf is common across the Caucasus and found in every country we visited. I'm not going to say the name because they hate the name of that neighboring country. You know which one I'm talking about, I've already mentioned it here on the channel. There's a series about it here. As for sweets, my tip is gata. This sweet here, gata, it's a flaky pastry with a buttery filling made of flour and sugar. And often it's served with a hidden coin for good luck. There's also sujuk. Sujuk, we say it like this. It's a thickened grape juice with walnuts inside. Imagine how delicious that is. Armenian isn't my strong suit, but drinking Armenian wine, that's my thing, okay? So make sure to write down these tips for when you come here so you can try absolutely everything. And then you tell me, Estevan Pelomundo, I took your tip, I ate it. Tell me which one you like the most, I want to know. Alright? Then send me a direct message and follow me on Instagram, Avix Estevan Pelomundo. If you don't follow me yet, make sure to keep up with me over there, alright? I love traveling. Is there anything better? Let's keep the trip going, pay the bill, and head out. And after all this Armenian food, I need to bring up a topic here that a lot of people don't even talk about, a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people forget, which is the genocide that the Armenians suffered. I'm talking about a genocide, a Holocaust that happened even before World War II, even before the Nazis in 1915. That's when the Armenians began to be massacred on a massive scale, persecuted and cruelly exterminated. Unfortunately, to this day, many nations do not recognize this genocide. Even with evidence, photographs, letters, data, all of this proven, there are countries that believe this genocide did not happen. In fact, they know it happened, they just don't want to recognize it, especially the Turks. After all, those responsible for the extermination and genocide of the Armenians were the Ottomans, who were based mainly in what is now Turkey. What happened was that, since the very end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century, they started persecuting the Armenians. The main target of this massacre, which killed 1.5 million people in 2 years, were the Christian Armenians. And the ones who fueled this massacre, this hatred, this genocide, were the Muslim Ottomans. Let me remind you in this video that my intention is not to create hatred against any nation or religion. On the contrary, there are good people everywhere in the world, but there are also bad people. Just because someone is Christian doesn't mean they're good. Just because someone is Muslim doesn't mean they're good. Just because someone is Jewish doesn't mean they're good. Just because someone is atheist doesn't mean they're good. There isn't a label that defines a person as good just because of the religion they follow. There are many people who are extremely devout in their religion who spread hatred, regardless of what that religion is. What I'm bringing up here is a fact. It was the Muslim Ottomans who persecuted the Armenians. And one of the saddest things about this genocide is that much of the world watched it in silence. Many people around the world saw this happening. People knew the genocide was happening and no one did anything. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The Armenians were sent to concentration camps. They were forced on death marches through the desert, where the Ottomans' main idea was to make them die on the way to a concentration camp, because one way or another they would end up perishing. Besides that, during this time, many Armenians were tortured and raped. It was a true ethnic cleansing so that they would no longer exist. The suffering was so great that not even women, children, or the elderly were spared. They exterminated everyone they could get their hands on. To give you an idea of the impact, Christians in the Ottoman Empire made up 23% in 1915. In 2 years, from 1915 to 1917, that number went from 23% to 3%. It was such a massive ethnic cleansing that when the Soviet Union annexed Armenia to make it part of its bloc, they even considered whether Armenia should exist as a country within the bloc. After all, there were only 800,000 Armenians, an extremely low number that decreased simply because of hatred. And that explains the fact that all over the world, there are more Armenians living outside Armenia than in Armenia itself. After all, after this mass persecution, the Armenians began their diaspora. So it's estimated that today there are about 10 million Armenians around the world, with the largest concentration currently in Russia, where it's estimated that about 2 million Armenians live. Then we have many Armenians in countries like the United States. I think the most famous family I've ever mentioned is the Kardashians. And they tried in the 1940s to carry out a repatriation process, bringing some Armenians back to unify and strengthen the nation. However, Armenia remains a very small country nowadays. But the good thing is that they remain a sovereign country with international recognition. All UN countries recognize Armenia. It is in fact a proper country. What doesn't happen is the recognition of this genocide by most countries. So, most countries in the world today do not accept what happened here as a genocide. What do you think? I want to know your opinion. Do you think that 1.5 million people killed in 2 years was just a war, or was it a genocide? I love Turkey. It's a country where I've always been very well received, very well treated. But we can't just gloss over history. We can't say that what the Ottomans did wasn't a genocide. It's one thing if it had been a war where the death tolls had been more or less equal, even if it was a bloody war, if they had also lost a good part of their people. But they lost very few people compared to what the Armenians lost. There's a museum here that tells a bit of the history of the genocide where you can understand a little more. It's really worth it. Admission is free. Until the 50th anniversary of the genocide, by the way, any public demonstration about this fact was not allowed. The Soviet Union didn't allow it, but then in 1965 a nationalist movement began, where the Armenians tried to remember this genocide so that it wouldn't happen again. And that's how this monument came to be. I'll share it with you. Inside there's an eternal flame. We can go down into the monument and the flame is about 1.5 meters away. This is to symbolize 1.5 million people that Armenia lost in this cruel genocide. In addition, there are 12 pillars that symbolize the 12 provinces that Armenia lost during this genocide and in the wars. And of course, they are curved, representing the pain and suffering of the mothers. Look up more about this subject later because it should not be forgotten. And I will keep showing you Armenia and Yerevan. Here there are Armenian publications about Turkish persecution of minorities, even before the genocide back in the late 19th century. And there was also a great massacre called the Adana Holocaust. It happened in another city in 1909, where young Turkish revolutionaries were already massacring and persecuting Armenians. These images are very graphic. I won't show the most graphic ones here. We have books and publications explaining this as well. And here is the beginning of the preparation for the genocide. Then, little by little, they started annihilating the elite, the intellectuals, until they managed to reach the margins. Priests they were shot, they were hanged. I know these are very graphic images, I even apologize, but it's a subject that's important for us to talk about, right? We can't come here without discussing this. A bit more on the deportation of civilians. They made people walk through the desert to other countries, mostly with the intention that they would die along the way. It's really sad to see how history just repeats itself. That's why I'm totally in favor of having museums and memorials, where I'm going to include the Armenians. The third Holocaust is Hitler's, as we see in Berlin. People often complain and say certain things should be erased. For example, Hitler once said a very problematic phrase. When he started his Holocaust, he said, "Look at the Armenian Holocaust, no one remembers it anymore, let's do ours." It was something like that. So we can't erase it, we can't forget. The baseless hatred for a people who just have a different religion, a different custom, a different language. If there was something unacceptable, intrinsic to being human, it would be unacceptable, okay? How can anyone accept that? I can't understand why anyone would want it. I never will. Live your life, I'll live mine, let him live his life, and that's it. You'll be happy. Unfortunately, there's always political interest involved, and we can't ignore that. It's sad, but true. Sometimes religion, that's often used as an excuse to justify invasions and gain more land, wealth, control, and even power. In fact, this place here is a slap in the face. We see that many peoples have their history repeated. Maybe you've never heard about this genocide in Armenia. Maybe you don't even know much about Armenia. But now you know that no matter where in the world, there's senseless hatred, and Armenia can prove it. Right next to the memorial, we have a cultural and sports complex called Karim Demirkan. He was a very famous politician here in Armenia who ended up being assassinated in an attack on the parliament. So they named this complex in his honor. The complex dates back to 1983, built by the Soviets to be something monumental. It looks like a spaceship or even a bird with open wings. I'll move closer and show another angle so you see how big this place is. Even today, there are concerts, shows that take place here, sports competitions. It's pretty active even though it looks kind of abandoned. If we look at this square here, it seems kind of forgotten, but no, it's fully active. Hold on, stop. We stopped right in front of him. This complex is amazing, huh? It's still beautiful to this day, right? You think about the 80s, but even today it's still impressive architecture. In fact, this kind of Soviet architecture is very emblematic, it's very unique. When we go through the countries of the former Soviet era, we see that all of them have this trace, this gigantic monumental architecture. They wanted to show exactly that, their power, for the whole world to see that they weren't playing around until the 90s when it all ended, but that's a topic for another video. Look at that grand, see? I'm here with Vit, my friend from Siberia. Look at him, he's dying here. He's never seen so much sun in his life. He's hiding from the sun. He said everything was extremely grand. They ran out of money for water, but everything remained monumental. Imagine this place in its heyday. Whenever I travel, I really like to do an exercise to imagine what life was like in that place at the height of its prosperity. Sometimes I close the book and imagine people walking by, fountains working. A concert happening here. It's really cool, isn't it, to travel through the history of the world and the places we see. I'm heading down this huge staircase. A lot of monumental things. This is a small country, right? 3 million people, but they have massive projects, enormous structures. The capital, Yerevan, has only 1 million people. It would be smaller than the city of Campinas, where I'm from. Is there anyone from Campinas watching this video, by the way? Comment below. I want to know if there's someone from Campinas or anyone living in Campinas watching this video. I really want to know. Now I'm going to head to a mosque. What? Tevom, isn't this the world's first Christian country? That doesn't mean there can't be a mosque. Of course there can. Yes, you heard it right. Look, we're going to visit a mosque. In Armenia, there is no religious prohibition today. Are the vast majority of people Christian? Yes. But other people practice religions here, like Muslims and Jews. There are always other religions, and here, at the present moment, they are free to exist. The mosque is really beautiful. Its facade is right here on this avenue. It was about a 10-minute Uber ride from where we were. By the way, let me give you an important tip here. Uber doesn't work, Bolt doesn't work. What works here is an app called Yandex. This is the logo here, look, from Yandex, it's a yellow one. It's an app, probably Russian. We had to create an account. I set up a Yandex email and linked it to the app to order. It was a bit of a hassle, but it worked out. Super cheap, like 1 or 2 euros for each ride. It's really cheap to order a ride here. Ride hailing here is very cheap. Unfortunately, like many things we've seen here, it's amusing because it's partly flawless. It's similar to the many fountains we've passed, right? They're kind of abandoned like that, but the mosque is beautiful. It's the only mosque, right? The last mosque that survived. In this region here, where Armenia is today, Persian people used to live. We have to remember that before the designation of countries, we have to talk about peoples. So we have the Ottomans, we have the Persians. So it's not that everyone in Turkey was Ottoman, nor was everyone who was Ottoman Turkish. Not everyone who was Persian was Iranian or Armenian. But the Persians were in a region that eventually became several countries. In this region, where I am, they also lived. Just like Christians, just like many other peoples. The crazy thing is, what did man decide to do? To create a designation, a boundary, a territory, and call it a country. And that's when this thing starts about the ideology of so-and-so is from such and such country. Then people get confused thinking that there's only one people in that country, but many times there were several peoples. Something interesting that I mentioned when we were in Azerbaijan. I'm even going to ask Rodrigo, who's here and is a historian from Red Star, to comment on this with you. Which is why, even in Muslim countries here in the region like Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, women don't wear coverings. Not hijab, not burqa, nothing. I'll explain to you why. Rodrigo is a historian, and he's the one responsible here at Red Star. And he's going to tell you a little bit about why, in these countries, women no longer wear coverings nowadays.
Cada país tem processo diferente. Na Ásia Central isso foi muito mais profundo do que no Azerbaijão. O Azerbaijão ele se orgulhou muito de ter sido o primeiro país, quando declararam a independência, do mundo islâmico a dar direito de votos às mulheres. Mas a prática de dote, de kalim, de paranjá, que é o que a gente chama de burca, ela ocorria em maior ou menor grau em todos esses países. E a União Soviética, a partir da década de 20, empreendeu uma campanha, o Hujum, a campanha de libertação das mulheres do Oriente. Então houve realmente essa campanha muito liderada por mulheres de emancipação, na qual ocorreu, por exemplo, no Uzbequistão, uma queima pública na Praça de Samarcanda, retirada e queima pública dos paranjás, das burcas, e secularizou, né, essas sociedades com uma velocidade muito grande. Então não dá para negar que houve realmente esse processo. E no Azerbaijão a gente sabe de casos de assassinatos de mulheres pelas próprias famílias, mulheres que queriam abandonar a escola religiosa, ir para a escola secular, mulheres que queriam se candidatar dentro do Partido Comunista a funções públicas. Então realmente houve uma luta. Claro que no Azerbaijão ela não é tão intensa quanto na Ásia Central ou no norte do Cáucaso.
Então essa seria a principal razão de por que hoje, se a gente for para o Uzbequistão, Quirguistão, Azerbaijão, a gente não vai ver as mulheres todas cobertas como a gente vê em outros países também islâmicos.
Hoje em dia você praticamente não vai ver as mulheres cobertas usando véu. É muito raro mesmo o véu, muito menos a burca, o paranjá. A burca ela era muito comum na Ásia Central, não tanto no Azerbaijão, muito comum na Ásia Central. Havia no norte do Cáucaso e hoje você não vai ver praticamente, muito pouco mesmo. Então essas sociedades acabaram passando por um processo de secularização. Que alguns vão dizer que foi um ataque às tradições dos países, mas outros vão apontar para o fato de que as próprias mulheres tiveram iniciativa nessas campanhas.
Porque muitas lideravam essas campanhas também. Né?
Muitas lideravam, é algo que se aprofundou com a União Soviética, mas como a gente vê pelo caso do Azerbaijão, era uma demanda que já existia. As mulheres conquistaram o voto ali naquele momento, havia intelectuais que se engajavam numa campanha de emancipação das mulheres. A União Soviética apenas aprofundou isso no caso do Azerbaijão e no caso da Ásia Central e do norte do Cáucaso, liderou, né, desde o princípio esse movimento de emancipação.
E essa é a principal razão de que caso tu venha para algum país que era membro da União Soviética, porém é islâmico, principalmente na região da Ásia Central, você não vai ver as mulheres cobertas. Se tu não tá entendendo, vai no meu Instagram que eu postei um Reels sobre esse assunto explicando e deu uma grande repercussão. Muita gente não entendeu, falou: Estevão, mas como assim? Nem todo mundo usava burca, nem todo mundo usava cobertura. E de fato, por causa desse movimento, já faz algumas décadas que não é tão comum a gente ver mulheres cobertas. Você vê meu vídeo do Azerbaijão, você vai ver que principalmente lá, quase ninguém usava lenço ou cobertura. Estevão, qual é a sua opinião sobre isso? Minha opinião é que cada um devia fazer o que quer da sua vida. Essa é a minha opinião, entendeu? Cada um usa o que quer, é o que eu penso. Quer usar, usa, não quer usar, não usa, quer fazer tal religião, seja, quer ser ateu, seja, né? Enfim, isso é o que eu penso. Quero saber de você o que você acha sobre isso. E eu vou seguir explorando aqui a Armênia, meu filho. Chega! Chega de hablar e vamos mostrar esse país pra vocês. Obrigado, Rodrigo. Agora da mesquita que tá bem atrás de mim, a gente segue. Republic Square, which is one of the main points of national pride and nationalism for Armenians. The mosque is very, very central. Essa aqui é uma das principais avenidas de Yerevan. Going another 600 meters up here, we get to Republic Square. Instagram really doesn't capture this well, right? The fashion of the places, the shop windows, the stores. I think it's really cool. Depois vão lá nos stories me acompanhar. Estevam Pelamundo, if you don't follow me, look, I'll put my Instagram here. It's this one, Estevam Pelamundo. A lot of people watch my videos on TV, watch the videos on YouTube, and then don't follow, they close it and don't follow. So follow me. Subscribe to the channel too if you're not already subscribed. Here, the fashion is much more similar to the fashion in Turkey than the fashion in Georgia, for example. In Georgia, you can see that people are more and more hipster. People wear those wider pants, colorful glasses, and so on. Here, no, here people more evangelical. No, it's not evangelical, but more reserved. Not exactly reserved. That's wrong, Estevam. That's not the word. It's like people wearing shirts, pointy shoes, a more churchy look, let's say, okay? I've noticed that even in store windows, they prefer more classic shoes in fashion. In neighboring Georgia, people already had a more hipster, laid-back style. I'm not saying it's better or worse, just sharing what I observe. Share your thoughts on Republic Square, Brazil in the comments. Let's go. I got a strawberry shield, like this. It hits right away, damn. This 180-degree heat, look at that. I like to show a bit of life, you know, the street to you guys. Today is a Wednesday, so it's a business day. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. In the summer here, the sun sets really late, so it's daylight until 8:30, 9 o'clock. Look, guys, Jennifer's show here, fancy? I didn't even know, look. And we've arrived at Republic Square. This here is a hotel, the Merit. I noticed that they really like Merit in the squares here. Merit is usually really well located, it's more intimate. In the main square, there's also a big Merit. By the way, before talking about Republic Square, let's talk about some hotels and places for you to stay here in Yerevan. The city has several hotel options for all styles. From hotels with impeccable service to comfortable and affordable places in the heart of Yerevan. For those looking for total luxury and comfort, Dan Alexander is one of the most sophisticated and full-service options. There's also the Grand Yerevan Hotel by SLH, a true boutique hotel full of charm with a great location, and also the Seven Visions hotels with a very serene and peaceful vibe. But if the idea is to find comfort without paying too much, Yerevan also has some very good options. Yerevan Place, for example, has fully equipped rooms and a very fair price. Ideal for those travelers who want to stay close to the main attractions. Oh, and there's also Tufenkian Heritage Hotels, a place full of character, but also with great value for those looking for a quiet spot to rest after a long day of walking. Hey, and when you're booking your hotel, make sure to use promo sites. These are sites that give you perks, like the Latam Pass site you're seeing here on the screen, where you'll earn 8 Latam Pass miles for every dollar you spend. Since you're already going to book the hotel, why not earn miles? Or take advantage and use a site like Smiles Viagens, for example, because there you can use the miles you already have and redeem hotel nights without spending anything for it. Oh, and the hotel I stayed at was the Alpha Hotel because it was the official hotel for my group from Estrela Vermelha Viagens, the company I hired to organize my whole trip through Azerbaijan, Georgia, and here in Armenia, always provided us with a historian at our disposal. It's been a real knowledge overload, so just know that Yerevan has hotels for every budget, okay? Literally, you can get a room here starting from USD 20 to USD 30 per night. A decent hotel, right? Simple but well located. There are also more luxurious hotels but still with good prices. Right behind me is the National Gallery of Armenia, and here is the government building. Beautiful, huh? Then turning a bit more, we have Shahomian Park right behind me. The monument celebrates 2,750 years of Yerevan. This is one of the oldest cities in the world, and Yerevan wasn't the main city of Armenia. Yerevan really started to stand out, even though it's very old and had existed for a long time, mainly at the height of the Soviet Union. Today the city has just over 1 million inhabitants, concentrating a third of the country's population. One really cool thing here in Armenia is this. Look, there are drinking water fountains all over the city. Look, right here in front of the Marriott, there's one. And I'm heading over there to the famous fountain at Republic Square. This is the fountain, guys. It was right in front of me and I didn't see it. How is that possible? I crossed the street here, it's dry. I think it only works at night. There's more water here. Here we can see it a bit better. There's more water here. And at 9 o'clock, there's the fountain show. Here I am right at the National Gallery. It's really beautiful too. Let me take a break for some Armenian food. I love eating, especially while traveling. Estevam, what's better than eating, traveling, and what's better than traveling, eating while traveling? I came to this bar here. Look, it's so cool, really trendy. It's a beautiful bar, and I'm out here on this little balcony. My Armenian wine is here already. Look at this place now, man. Man, you attract tourists. Let me show you a nice modern tourist steak that looks great. A chicken fillet and some wine, Armenian wine, chicken fillet with vegetables. I'm waiting for the rest. I hadn't shown you, I don't want to eat too much. It's not that big. The chicken is so big. There, look. There's not even... It's a third of an ear of corn. I don't feel the pin shining. Kind of weak, but I can't eat much anyway, because soon I'm going to an Armenian dinner with dancing. An Armenian dance, I'll show you. Shit! I've arrived at Taverna Yerevan, where we'll learn more about Armenia's traditional dances. Wow, this place is beautiful, huh? This place is stylish. Check out the building. Let's go inside the restaurant. Look, as soon as you get here, man, the restaurant is an experience. The show already starts right here. A typical Armenian show. Oh, our food has arrived. I'm here with Marcia. Say hi, Marcia. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. My friend who's here on this expedition with me. We've already been through several countries. Azerbaijan, Georgia, now Armenia. Which one did you like the most, Marcia? Honestly, I didn't hear. The trip is cool, right? Wow, all the countries really surprised me. They're all really nice. Because each one has such a different history. It's such a conflicted context. And there are so many layers to the relationships between them. And everything is really good and so close together. Everything is kind of intertwined. That's it, they're countries that are considered close and all. But the culture is different, you know? So from Azerbaijan to here is one thing. From Georgia to here is another thing. The food is a bit similar. Even the country's culture is different. So there's no comparison. Stuffed eggplant. Marcia loves it too. I always get the stuffed one. It's totally different. Different, yeah, very different. And it's a different thing. Balvino just arrived. Here is the restaurant's price. The eggplant was RM2000, RM2000. It's an expensive restaurant by Armenian standards. We think that RM2000 isn't expensive, right? Balvino Elba does. The other restaurants are a bit more expensive. Look at the Armenian chicken and the dish with chapalho. Now the show was... How was the show? The show over there, look, the big samba appeared. It was good for a minute. And let's take a walk here through downtown Yerevan, the capital of Armenia. This here is one of the main avenues near my hotel. It's back there, the hotel is really well located. Experiencing a bit of city life is really cool, right? Walking around like this. Just going out and walking around, you can really feel the vibe. I'll show you. There's a European touch, yes, in the architecture. They're at this restaurant here, my friends. I'm going to go in to show you the little shop here. There are a lot of tourists passing by, right? It's a little shop here. And in the back is the restaurant. They're over there, look, right at the back. Wow, what a wonderful place. It's called Boyan 12. They're around here, I think. Want to check these places? There are Brazilians everywhere. There are Brazilians in every corner. Look, here's a Brazilian. He looks like a Brazilian. I already ordered a little platter of Armenian cheeses. Look, it looks nice. There's a big mix here, lots of different cheese names. To start, along with some Armenian wine too. The wine was about 30 reis, and the cheese platter was about 35 reis, I think. Alright, it's here. Alright, and really fast. It got here super quick. I also ordered a dolma, right, which is this. It's their little roll, right? Very traditional here at Calva. Delicious. And for the main dish, I ordered eggplant, right? Eggplant, some rice, and a little sauce here, pesto. They eat a lot of eggplant. The domer I had, that little stuffed grape leaf roll, was the best I've ever had. Forget about Rabitos, kid. Forget it. Delicious food. And this dish here was 2,600, which comes out to a little over 50 rays. Pretty good, right? A bit of Berlin here. For dessert, filet for the copa. More Italian than Armenian. Not that tasty, but the video is so good I won't complain. Everything's perfect. You should come. Just come like that. Come like this with it. It works. Come on. Go ahead. Enough. Now, is there a schedule? I booked an opera by some famous musicians you don't even know exist. They have an opera here that you can watch, and I'm going to see it. The guy, nice. It's less than a 10-minute walk from the restaurant to the opera. Where are we going now? I love seeing life in Yerevan. So many flowers and greenery, right? It's very tree-lined. The opera we're heading to is over there. Remember I talked about the cars? They have a lot of these cars here. Look, they're really from that time. La Union, that beautiful church right next to the opera, which still isn't the opera. It's right over there. "5 minutes until the bell starts ringing. Look." And we're really cool. I feel like I'm in a movie, I don't know, Brastasia, you know, something kind of amazing, guys. Absolutely perfect. An amazing performance. Beautiful. And the theater, look at this. Look at this chandelier. Notice the ceiling. This chandelier likely costs as much as 5 Alphaville houses. The composer of this piece is Alan Khachaturian. He's considered the most famous 20th century composer. He's Armenia's most renowned composer from that era. And this music, this song from the piece is Saber Song, that one. Everybody knows it. I don't know if I can play it here because otherwise everything will get taken down. But look it up later, okay? The name of the song is right here. You definitely know the song. You know it. You just didn't know it was by that Armenian guy and that it's his. But you already know it because I already knew it too and didn't know it was his. We live and learn. We travel and learn even more, right? Noe is one of the main brandy factories here in Vaharshapat. Yes, Armenian brandy is one of the most prestigious and traditional exports of the whole country. They have been producing since the 19th century and the most famous brands are these ones, Noe and also Ararat. And of course I wouldn't bring you just anywhere, right? The Noe factory is named in honor of Noah because they say his ark landed right here, see? It docked on Mount Ararat, this famous mountain here in Armenia. They are very proud of that, especially because it's the first Christian country in the world. So, in honor of Noah, they named it Noi, which would be Noah in Armenian. We're going in to explore. I can't film and talk, so I'll narrate and share some history. This place was built in an old fortress. Look at it. It's beautiful. You should add it to your itinerary. Whether you love wine, brandy or not, you have to include it. Today, they no longer make wines. They produce brandies, vodka, and whiskeys. But it's still a major name, not only here in the country but also internationally. A lot of people know the brandies here from Noe. This wine I'm about to drink is over 100 years old. It's from 1913. Delicious, it's like a port wine. Very good. 17%, 18% alcohol, and 26% sugar. Look, here we can see a wall from the 6th century of the old fortress. This used to be a fortress, guys. A fortress that defended the city, and today it's a winery. Because the world changes, right? Life goes on, the world keeps changing. In fact, where I am right now used to serve as a prison back when the fortress existed. This place here smells awful, like mold and vinegar. Oh my god, my goodness. And this tunnel connected to the American embassy here. And let's taste the cognac, my son. That's very common. She taught us. You put your fingers, warm up your cognac a bit, and take a look at which tier is the highest, right? See which leg stays highest, and you count how long it takes to go down. So, the longer it takes to go down, it means the cognac is older. If it takes about 5 seconds, it's about 5 years, 10 seconds, about 10 years. Stars are a rule, aren't they, dear? Rules exist, they do, but they're always perfect for drinks. They're all included in the tasting we arranged with the Red Star folks. We got the premium package. And then you get access to these cognacs, these wines that we got. I'll tell you, you only live once, right? So it was worth it.
Valeu a pena. Forte. Você não sabia também, ó, a porção de conhaque correta é quando você deita o copo e ele, teoricamente, não derrama o conhaque, tá vendo? Por isso que o copinho de conhaque é nesse formato. Então, tá exatamente certo, aqui tá contado. Até porque esse conhaque é uma fortuna. O vinho que a gente provou, de 1924, é $3.000. O de 1913 era $4.000, é isso, né?
Yerevan não é uma cidade que você apenas visita, é uma cidade que você sente. Fez eu perceber que a Armênia carrega no silêncio uma história pesada, marcada pela dor do genocídio, pela ausência, pela memória que parece nunca desaparecer. É uma tristeza que ela não é bem escondida, ela é lembrada, honrada, respeitada. Mas o que mais me tocou,
It wasn't the pain. It was the strength, a people who suffered so much but who remain united, who turned their scars into identity, who didn't let their culture die. On the contrary, they made it a form of resistance. Armenian cuisine is an embrace, it's a generous spread, it's lavash coming out of the oven, it's wine being shared, it's a toast to life. Every dish here told me a story of survival but also of celebration. And when the music starts, the traditional dances are not just folklore, they are affirmation, they are pride, they are a silent cry saying, we are still here. Armenia, for me, is memory, but it is also hope. A country that looks to the past with respect but walks toward the future with great dignity. A people who believe, who build, who smile even after everything they've been through. And Yerevan taught that the true strength of a nation is not in the absence of pain, but in the ability to always rise together. And maybe that's what makes Armenia so unforgettable. Thank you for accompanying me this far, traveler. And you, never forget that you are an amazing human being and you can get wherever you want. See you in the next video.